Hello everyone, how you doing? It's Mike here at the fitness camp, and I'm just going to do a quick video on the real big significance of a food journal and how it is so important to getting the results that you want. Okay, here's a little bit of a history. We've got the nutrition pack that's on the members site that you can download, that's in one of the private groups, and in there is a food diary template there, and you can use those for sure. But what I recommend is, if you need anything from me, that you now use this template, okay? And as well as detailing everything, there's just a few questions there for you as well. So what is a food journal? As it says on the tin, it's just laying out what you've had each day, and a few other things you can put in there as well. So we've got, if we just look at it by day, you've got just the times that you're eating, or obviously categorizing into three main areas: your breakfast, your lunches, and your dinners, and also just putting down as much detail as possible. So that's things like drinks. If I just hover over breakfast there, tells you about being very, very specific, you know, if it's talking about water, what sort of amounts you're having, and so on and so on. And in the right hand column here, column C, just detailing a few other notes as well, like any supplements you're having, what time you trained, which is obviously for the most part what time you went to camp and things like that. Maybe you were doing something a little bit extra as well that I gave you, and what time you went to bed as well, because all those lifestyle factors are also very important. But 95% of this is all about what you are eating and drinking. Okay, who should do it? Absolutely anyone, simply put, who wants to get a result. Okay, as you know, training is massive. It's very, very significant, but it's giving you the opportunity to burn a lot more energy from fat, from your fat tissue around, you know, especially areas that where you may hold a little bit more, like your bum, like your hips and thighs and your stomach, so on, places like that. But it's about giving yourself the opportunity, and that opportunity will only still exist if you're eating the right foods, and so on and so on. It's not about like going hungry and, you know, starving yourself so that you're losing weight. It's about burning fat, and it's giving yourself the opportunity to do that. So everything that's in the nutrition manual tells you how to do that, but obviously recording it is essential, because that's basically getting to the next bit of this video of why you should be doing things like this, why you should be recording them. Yeah, one is for adherence. Yeah, it's a really good way, especially for new members and maybe people who just need a little bit of a, you know, kick up the arse, so to speak. It gives them adherence, because if you're recording something, you basically want to write down and log good stuff. You don't want to be logging that you're eating absolute crap. I mean, there's no, you know, you've got to be honest about it, and there's no problem with that, because again, we can handle those barriers, so to speak, and we can, you know, if a problem does exist in the nutrition, we can look how we resolve it. There's no point online there. But, you know, adherence does come from logging, because it offers a little bit more discipline. And the more essential bit of it is about assessing, okay? Because if we just go down in this video, in this video, but in this spreadsheet here, at the end of any food journal, going down, we've just got the end of Wednesday here, because this is just a sample, but all I've got is a couple of questions there. What's your aim? So, you know, what are your goals as per the goal achievement handbook, the exercises that go on there, the worksheets, and what's your progress looking at? What's your progress towards them looking like? Because you obviously you want to assess where you're going in another way as well. Things like, you know, getting on the scales, because weight, yeah, it's not the most essential factor for me. But if you are overweight, obviously we do want the weight to come down. What's probably more essential is that you're losing body fat, so that's where measurements come in very, very handy, and photos, because over a slightly longer period, you know, but even as short as something like 3 to 4 weeks, photos can be significantly different, especially for beginners. So if you're going to assess yourself using any or all of those mediums to do that, then if you're not progressing, let's say, how do you know where the problem was? Yeah. And alternatively, another question is, if you are progressing, exactly how do you know what's helping you? Yeah, what's the good things? Yeah, and that's where the food journal comes in really, really handy as well, because it does exactly those things. If you are getting great results, then for the most part, you're pretty much going to continue what you see on your food journal, you know, and obviously putting together your training with that as well. But seeing as the food is something that you do on your own, so to speak, then this is why it is so important. Again, if it's not saying such good things and it's maybe that you just need help, in which case you send them to me and I'll give you advice. And I'm going to do a few more videos using templates like this where I can really pick out on things that are really good and things that aren't so good, and you know, telling you the whys about that. So if we have any things like that and you're getting my expertise of finding out exactly where the problems lie, that means you can change them again. But if you actually just measure yourself, you know, assess yourself, or you come to me and say, I don't feel like I'm doing much different, and we don't have resources like this, we don't have the information, then it makes it a lot harder. I think you'll agree with that. And the other side of that is, you know, you can maybe perceive that you're doing good things, you know, so it's all in your head. And so again, you can have that scenario where you say, I'm not doing as well as I think I am. I don't understand why I'm maybe not losing weight. Might be a question that you have in a week. And then I'm going to just send it back to you and say, well, let's see what you've done. And it's just going to be your perception of what you've done. Over you know, my, you know, fairly long experience now, I've had a lot of wasted 15, 20 minutes, 30-minute periods like that, whereby I've been speaking to somebody and, you know, fast forward those 20 minutes and it's basically got the position where they haven't really been doing as well as the thought as far as the food and drink goes. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, by having it all down here, it makes it so much easier to do. Okay, so, you know, definitely assess yourselves, but, you know, don't hold too much on those assessments if you're not doing this sort of thing. Okay, does that make sense? Right, into the next bit. So just describing a little bit about these. We've also got some questions here. You see, at the start of every day, I want to ask you, or I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, like what was your sleep like last night, and then just give it a rating out of 10. Again, if you see I hover over it, you'll just see some comments coming up that are in those cells. What your energy levels like first thing in the morning, and how sore are you? Okay, because all those things. Or I'll start the other way. Nutrition has a big key in all those things. Fair enough, there's other things as well, but nutrition is very significant on that. Okay, so when we're looking at the ratings of those, we know how well that you're doing. And again, going further on in the day, where is sleep is important. And, you know, I just want to ask you things like, how sore are you once a day? When it gets to lunch and when it gets to dinner, also asking you energy levels again, but also asking what your hunger levels are like. You know, you're always going to be wanting food during the day, but it's about knowing that you need it, okay? Because you need it for energy, and you don't need it for satisfaction from a mood level or anything like that, okay? You're always going to want food, but you don't want to be getting to the stage where, you know, you could chew your own face off, okay? And that's why that question's in there. Then you just see, as I say, that you can just list everything there. You can list supplements. You can list what time you went to bed, and that just gives us a really clear picture on what you're doing, okay? These are just some samples that I've put down there. That are in the spreadsheet for 3 days that I've done more recently. If anyone wants to see it, I'll go through even this one in a bit more detail at some point, and you'll see each day that if I just click on that cell there, that's just focusing on the same questions that are in the yellow highlights above. Just looking at the first questions each day. The second questions each day are just a little bit further down. Somewhere there, can't quite say. Oh yeah, just on the left hand side there, series 2 and series 3. And then what you've got is the different weeks here, just ready to go. Okay, the good thing about these Excels is you can just simply insert cells or rows and stuff like that, just to add or take away more information as you need it. Okay, now yes, recording your food is a pain, but it adds tremendously high value. So as I say, having a spreadsheet isn't, it's a good way to pass the information to me or for you to have a look at it yourself in more detail at a later point. But you can also, if I just go to my Safari here and just go across, I already had it opened. If I just click on there, just on eBay, if you have any notepads like these little A6 notepads, these are a great way to just initially record everything. It's not a great way to keep it, and look at it, because you're just jotting things down as you're doing them. But maybe having a pad like that and just filling in your days using these questions here is a really, these questions and just the log like this is a really good way of recording stuff, and then you can just put it into the spreadsheets like this if you want to pass it to me, or if you want to look at it in more detail on your own. And if I go to the preview window, this is the nutrition manual, and if I just go to the appendix, let's just finds. No, that's not doing it. If I just go down, what's that, page 62? I'm just going to quickly go down here. And, well, there's two things first. Yeah, if I click on there, this is just the start of the paper-based food journal, so you can just do the same things and log everything here and then put it into the Excels. And also in the back of this appendix, you can, no, just a little bit further, somewhere down here. Here we go. Yeah, you can still analyze your foods yourself, okay, using this checklist here and looking at things like vegetables, green vegetables, proteins, fish, oils, whether they're from foods or whether from supplements, and also looking at your simple sugars, things like carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates, wheat-based products, and you can do your own checklists there, okay? So you can, once you've got it in the Excel format, you can look at your foods yourself, but feel free to send them to me as well. And just a little bit further down, yeah, we're just looking at things like dairy, meal frequency. So all the questions that I really know automatically to look for when I'm looking at your food journals, you can look at those as well, okay? Just go back to the spreadsheet. What I was saying was there is, yeah, it can be, I wouldn't say it's time consuming doing this sort of stuff, but it just gets a little bit of a pain sometimes, is just having to basically put all the foods in here, yeah. But just a couple of questions to finish is, what are the bigger pains in your life? Would it be a bigger pain if you did assess yourself, whether it's just putting on your jeans in a couple of weeks' time or in a month's time, or whether it's putting on, your favorite dress or suit or something like that, and it's still fitting the same? Yeah, it's, so basically, or it's just feeling a bit too tight. Yeah, I think that'd be a bigger pain than doing this food journal. Finding no change, if you're actually measuring yourself, if you're checking your weight, is that a bigger pain, or is the slight discomfort of filling in this spreadsheet or using the notepads, is that a bigger pain? Yeah, or the total frustration of how you feel when you don't get the results that you want? Okay, I think you'll agree that doing the assessments are going to be a lot more beneficial if you do journaling like this, okay? And like I say, just use the notepads and use the checklists accordingly, okay? So that's it for now. As I say, what I'm going to do is, what I suggest is, I'm going to do some templates anyway, maybe using some food journals that I've got in the past, that I've had via emails, and put them in this format. But if you want to send me anything, what I recommend is, I'm going to put something on the members site that's a template like this, and you can fill that in and send it to me anytime you want. Okay, so get cracking on it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.